The reason for self-checkout was to make shopping easy and quicker. My claim is that self-checkout actually causes more problems than it solves. Advantage one is these machines kill jobs. Many people can't work because there is no more need for as many cash registers as there was before self-checkouts. The working classes had to struggle a lot to find jobs because jobs are scarce or they lost their jobs because of self-checkout. My source was labor411.org. Americans should not have to struggle to find work because they lost it to a machine. That's unfair. Advantage two, it's very easy to steal from self-checkouts. If you use a self-checkout, some people put just a few things through the scanner, but it's very easy to slip something into your bag and nobody would ever know because there's no human interaction with self-checkout. This was stated by business.org. This causes the business that people are stealing from to lose money. And labor411.org stated each job is killed is a reduction in taxes paid by the potential employee, meaning that less is paid to the government because these machines don't actually pay taxes or contribute in any way. So services are lost because of this. Advantage three is consumers don't actually like these machines. I personally never use a self-checkout machine because every time I do, there's always a problem and I have to get help. So I just end up going to the cash register anyways. Consumers get frustrated with these machines, and people shopping want to be in and out of the store just as quickly as possible. So nobody has time to wait for a machine that's causing critical errors and whatnot and asking for help from whoever's on deck there. The argument could be made that self-checkout is quicker than a cash register than waiting in line. However, when the machine breaks, which it always does, or there's an error with it, you'd be better off waiting in a regular line anyways. So reviewing all of the arguments, self-checkout kills jobs for Americans. They're very easy to steal from. Consumers don't like these machines anyways, so why keep them? Self-checkout causes more problems than they actually solve.
Okay, and now for the cross-examination. Where do you have information on just how many jobs have been lost as a result of self-checkout?
No, because of time, I wasn't able to get the correct numbers, but you can go into a Target and see all the self-checkouts, and there's like 4 cash registers open, so it's easy to tell how many people have lost their jobs just from looking.
Right. Are you certain that these people lost their jobs, or were they stationed to, instead of maybe being a cashier, being a restocker or helping people throughout the store? Are you certain that they lost their jobs, or there are just less
Well,
cashiers in the store?
well, I would have to research more because of time. I wasn't really able to find anything on that. But when you go to apply for a job, you usually say, "Oh, I want to be a cash register," or "Oh, I want to work on the floor." So it's easy like if a manager isn't looking for someone to be a cash register because of the self-checkouts, it's easy to tell that some people have lost their jobs just because they weren't needed anymore.
Mm-hmm. So, so you mentioned that, I think you mentioned in your speech that humans don't like self-checkout. But
Mm-hmm.
you also mentioned that they don't like self-checkout anyway, so that should be eliminated. But also, additionally, you mentioned that they're fired. Like which one of the two do you think it is? Do you think that humans don't like self-checkout, so we should just like take them out altogether, or is it the fact that they're losing their jobs?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, like if you go into a Target, the self-checkouts are all there, and then there's the cashiers. Yes, there is. But when you're talking about like if it's a combination of both, I think it is personally. I think that if a consumer doesn't like what's in your store, you should fix it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You answered my questions very well, and I do understand the time constraints too, so you probably didn't have the information because it is kind of hard to find. So, yeah, thank you. So, okay, I, as the negative, will be arguing why consumers should and can continue to use self checkout without having to worry about them being personally responsible for the decreasing amount of cashiers. My argument is essentially the fact that it's not self checkout that's killing retail businesses. It's actually bigger businesses such as Amazon that are the true culprits for the labor loss in the US. So remember Borders and Circuit City and Tower Records, and those were all big chains back in 1995, along with Barnes and Noble, Borders Books. However, when Amazon debuted, most of these businesses are actually gone due to, in part, the pressure from online retailers that depend on the American retail landscape. Alongside these, Amazon has actually made other stores such as Costco and smaller businesses such as smaller artists such as Etsy vulnerable to going out of business. So, with that information, I don't believe that we as consumers should stop using self checkout. This is not the answer to decreasing the amount of cashiers in America, nor helping these big businesses. We should stop online shopping. According to the I'm going to go over, in this speech, I'm going to go over how it's beneficial for the employees, beneficial for the businesses themselves, and beneficial for customers. According to the Foundation for Economic Education, individuals worry that machines have been replacing human cashiers for a while, and if left unrestrained, will eradicate the job completely. However, several analysts point out that cashiers aren't necessarily fired over self-checkout, but rather redeployed to different, more complicated job functions. This means they're still on the payroll, but performing additional work that contributes to the store's overall profitability and revenue. Some retail experts suggest that self-service checkout kiosks should be viewed less as labor reduction, and instead kiosks serve more as a tool for cashiers to support multiple customers simultaneously. That allows stores to combat traffic spikes and service more customers during busy times. Now, from an employee standpoint, this sounds amazing because they can focus more on assisting customers in other ways. Given minimum wage increases over the past few years, it's no wonder that places like McDonald's have moved more towards using self-service kiosks. But is it true? Do self-checkouts eliminate cashier jobs? In short, not really. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the number of cashiers in the US has risen precipitously over the past decade, even during the Great Recession when overall employment growth was pitifully low. That's not to say that there would be more cashier jobs if self-checkout had never been invented. Surely there would be. But they're certainly not about to make the occupation obsolete anytime soon. On the contrary, as previously stated, the biggest threats to the future of cashier jobs are online shopping and Amazon-style grab-and-go stores, which is why I don't believe that we as consumers should stop using self-checkout, which is the argument online. We are arguing whether or not we should stop using self-checkout. If we truly want to make a big impact on the future of retail and employees in retail, we need to stop using platforms such as Amazon instead. Now, I don't want to spend too much discussing how this will benefit the business themselves because we as the 99% don't really care about the business. But I wanted to point out that according to Frank Levy, MIT professor of urban economics, Levy sees self-automation as the next wave of technological change in this area. The question is whether they're offsetting job creation losses due to automation. In general, as he as he has analyzed, computerization enables you to lower prices to stimulate more demand, and in this case, employment will rise. But checkout salaries are just a small part of the cost of groceries. Who doesn't believe the labor cost savings will have much of an impact on prices? At the end of the day, self-checkout is also beneficial for customers. I'm sure we can all think of occasions where self-checkout machines have done us dirty and not worked, but I'm sure we can also think of times where the lines in a store were so long and we were saved by self-checkout. And it was incredibly convenient and we got in and out in a flash. At the end of the day, self-checkout is one of many technological innovations that we shouldn't really ignore. While it's easy to see the labor cut down, this is not the answer to this problem. As previously stated, it's actually other businesses that are killing jobs. A few years back, the Washington Post performed an experiment to see how long it took to purchase 5 items at the self-checkout lanes into various grocery stores and around the Washington area. Regardless of the store, they found it took under 2 minutes to complete each transaction. The real wait, however, is in line waiting for a register. This is where the self-service checkout truly shines. Good Housekeeping points out in a Danish queuing theory from the 1900s that data analyst Wes Stevenson used to show that one giant checkout line actually reduced the average customer wait time versus individual lines at a register. Single lines aren't always mandatory in self-checkout lanes, but it's become an unspoken rule among customers that results in quicker checkout times. So to go over everything, I went over how self-checkout is not only beneficial for employees, but it's beneficial for businesses when it comes to keeping costs down, for consumers, and I also went over how it is beneficial for customers as well, and about how the true culprit to the cut down in labor is Amazon, and this is why we should stop using Amazon in order to make a bigger impact on labor. Thank you.
Okay, so for my cross-examination, my first question is, you mentioned how Amazon is like the main killer of retail stores. But my question is, like, Amazon doesn't have a self-checkout. It's just online shopping. So like, why include that in your speech about the negative? Why would you include that?
Because they have actually been responsible for the cut down and the true job loss, because we're not only losing cashiers as a result of Amazon, but Amazon is killing the business in its entirety, which accounts for so many more employees than just cashiers. So that's why I mentioned it. We're arguing whether or not we should continue to use self-checkout, and that ties into my argument that we as people should not use self-checkout or should not stop using self-checkout because it doesn't make as big of a difference as we might think. But
okay.
Yes.
So because of Amazon, because people are losing their jobs to Amazon, don't you think that getting rid of self-checkout in like retail stores like Target and Walmart, don't you think that would actually help the cashier jobs and like give people more jobs?
Not as much as we might think. Not nearly as much as because I found I can't cite evidence that I haven't stated, but essentially, can you repeat the question? Actually,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So you said how Amazon is like the bigger picture and how they're taking away a lot of people's jobs. So don't you think putting in more cashier jobs in Target and Walmart would actually help the cashiers get more jobs and like provide more jobs to people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, putting in more jobs is obviously going to be creating more jobs. I mean, I think what I'm understanding correctly is if you add more cashier positions, you'll have more people filling those roles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. But, at the end of the day, stores might not need more cashiers. They could have more people on the floor. They could open up, literally any other job other than a cashier, because there are so many jobs other than cashiers available. And so, at the end of the day, we're not certain how much of a difference this is truly making.
No, yeah, you're right. We wouldn't know. So you were saying how you gave a source about the MIT professor. Um, could you tell me more about why you included that specifically in your speech?
So when I cited the evidence that I cited in regards to the MIT professor is that he actually analyzed how self checkout truly impacts the economy, and he actually found that it's beneficial in the sense that it actually allows stores to lower their prices, which stimulates more demand, which, in turn, at the end of the day, is good for the economy. And that's why I cited that.
Okay.
And it's good for us, too, because we as consumers need lower prices, or understand the importance in lower prices in terms of affordability. Yeah.
All right. So you were saying how we should you were saying how you were saying how we should get rid of self-checkout because you were saying how it was really hard. I'm sorry, I was like writing. You saying how how we should get rid of self-checkout like because of Amazon? Like what do you mean like by that?
No, I never said that. I don't think we should get rid of self checkout.
Okay, then those are all my questions. I'm sorry.
Did I say that? No, it's okay. Maybe I misspoke or like said something wrong.
Yeah,
But
I'm
no,
sorry.
I
Those
don't.
are all my
No,
questions.
that's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's my rebuttal, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, as for my rebuttal, I would first like to state that yes, employees are dispersed within companies, and there might not be a bigger need for cashiers, but self-checkout, and the opposing would agree with me when I say this, that self-checkout isn't contributing to this problem. It's actually making it worse. There have been employees that have lost their jobs. Yes, I don't have the correct numbers with me, but it's easy to tell when you go into a store. There's like 4 cashier lines open and 6 self-checkout machines open. So it's easy to tell. The negatives stated that we should get rid of online shopping because that is the bigger problem. But in this day and age, you can't get rid of online shopping. It's what everybody does for hours a day, especially with COVID-19. Nobody would go outside. So online shopping was the way we got our groceries, our clothes, and just whatever we wanted. So with our social climate, I don't think getting rid of online shopping is the answer. The negative also gave a source about the Washington Post, a survey about how they like saw the performance and everything. And yes, those numbers are really fast and quick, but those machines didn't have any critical errors. Everything went smoothly, which if you've ever been in a self-checkout, you know that never happens. There's always something that goes wrong. You have to ask somebody to help you. The machine isn't working. So that Washington Post source is good. However, it's an extraordinary circumstance because the machines all worked perfectly, which doesn't happen in reality most of the time. So that's the end of my rebuttal. Thank you.
Okay. So in the affirmatives rebuttal, wait, it's my rebuttal too, right? There's no more cross examination.
It's your rebuttal and your summary, and then she has a summary, and then you're good.
Okay, perfect. So the affirmative essentially stated that self checkout is making the problem worse, the problem of job loss worse, and that I would agree with this. But I actually don't agree with this because there is still little to no evidence supporting the fact that self checkout is truly responsible for the job loss. So I don't agree with that. And while I don't believe that we should get rid of online shopping, that was never my argument. When it comes to the argument at hand, which is whether or not consumers should continue to use self checkout, I don't believe that we should stop using self checkout. I believe that we should instead boycott online shopping just as much as we can if we truly want to make a difference. When I said that, I was discussing the difference that it would truly make. Yes, us protesting the machines and boycotting them can make a bit of a difference, but if we want to make a bigger impact, that is a better option for us, because I think we can all agree that job loss is incredibly detrimental and none of this should be happening, but at the end of the day, we do have true culprits that are truly killing American businesses as a whole, very quickly, exponentially, and this is what we need to pay attention to, and that's why I mentioned it. So in order to summarize, I discussed that self-checkout is beneficial for employees in the sense that it helps with productivity. It might help them be a little less overwhelmed because they're not dealing with such irate customers over long lines. It helps them help customers a bit better, helps move things a bit more efficiently in the store. And while I do believe that self-checkouts can be faulty, technology does have a lot of faults and a lot of kinks that we need to work out. That also means that we get to employ IT people or people that can fix things, because at the end of the day, when we go to self-checkout lines, we also see somebody there who's overseeing everything. So, additionally, we have that, and we have IT people that might be fixing these machines as well. Additionally, it's beneficial for businesses. Without focusing too much on it, at the end of the day, it helps them keep their costs down, which at the end of the day helps us as the middle class survive when it comes to affordability of products and like slowing inflation. And it's beneficial for customers. And if we truly, to summarize, want to make a difference and a big impact, it's not that we should stop using self-checkout. It's that we should try to limit our online shopping as much as possible. Thank you.
And for the affirmative summary, self-checkout has caused many problems. They have killed jobs, which is, as we've gone over, might not be the root cause of unemployment, but it certainly isn't helping the situation. If self-checkout machines were no longer used, that would, no matter what, give more jobs to people. In actuality, I don't think self-checkouts are benefiting businesses because it is so easy to steal in self-checkouts. There's one person there watching over, as the negative stated. However, they truly aren't paying much attention unless somebody needs help. So they're very easy to steal from, and that does not benefit the business whatsoever. Many consumers just don't like the machines as it is. They take up more time than going to a regular cashier line. If there's a problem with it or they're faulty. So my argument for the affirmative is that self-checkouts cause more problems than they solve. And as for what the negative stated about them benefiting businesses, and making the products cheaper, I don't think that is true, because businesses like Target have retail prices plus tax, and that really doesn't change with self-checkout whether they have it or not. So, to summarize, self-checkouts create problems like people losing their jobs, theft, and consumers not being happy with them. Thank you.
Cool, good job, guys. I think you both did really good. I liked that both of you were really good at like your rebuttal standpoints, where you actually really listened to the other side and kind of like gave comments on each of the things that the other side was saying. So that was really cool to see. And I like that both of you were really organized. You guys weren't all over the place, and it was really like organized and well put, especially for the amount of time you guys were given. I do believe that the negative might have had this one just because she might have had a little more evidence, in which I know you didn't have a lot of time to do that, so that is hard to do. But I think she had a little more evidence than the affirmative. But I think both were like really good and really organized for it only giving 20 minutes. So good job, guys.
Thank you. And sorry that you had to decide this one all on your own. I can see how that's